always dealing with reality. With love she is born. And some of the heart. She knows that you are gone. And then you know. Come on, find out what you need to know. And it is the girl to know. Whether I love is the road. And that's the It's gonna be a new world order. Well, at least that's what they tell me. Well, I tell you what, I have some people here today that are definitely going to let us know what their take on that situation is. And two, I also have a surprise guest co-host sitting there with me today. And I'm going to tell you exactly who that is in just a minute. But y'all know what I got to tell you. Welcome back to the Wildina Show. And I tell you what, I'm excited that you came back to be with me again today. And I want to welcome everybody who is out there watching on WildinaTVShow.com and everybody who is listening out there on KKVV 1060 AM Las Vegas on your radio dial. And everybody who is watching out there all over the world globally. Wildina is going global. Everybody, if you're watching out there in Pakistan, hey, hello to everyone. I'm excited to have you back with me again today. And I just want to say welcome to my loved ones and my haters too. Y'all got to hate on the sister anytime you feel like it, because you know that's what makes me a household name, and I love it. Okay, you know what? We have got to just show you what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do some exciting stuff today, and then again next week. It's all about the new world order. Is there a such thing, and what is it all about? I've got to learn from these people, and I'm excited to introduce my new guest to you. Okay, so listen, we got to pay the bills, because if I don't pay the bills, then guess what? I won't be on the air. So we're going to take a break, and y'all know what's going to happen when we come back. You know the rubber is going to meet the road. We'll see you in a minute.
Did you realize that right now, one of every 3 drivers on the road is cruising around in a state of skepticism? Why? Because they're full of questions about how much value their car insurance company is actually bringing to the party. And the way these drivers are getting answers is by shopping and comparing. If you're one of them, State Farm agent Mike Whitford in Las Vegas can help you get to a better state. That starts with getting to know you as a person, not just a policy number. Then Mike can help put together the coverage package that has you written all over it. Make sure you're comfortable with what that coverage will cost and with the level of service you'll get. Not just for Mike Whitford, but from the 68,000 State Farm associates who support them 24/7, 365 days a year. If all of that is starting to make you feel a little less skeptical, now's the time to call State Farm agent Mike Whitford in Las Vegas at 702-463-2400. That's 702-463-2400, and get to a better state with State Farm.
Okay, listen, and remember what I always tell you, everybody. If you call over there at Mike Whitford State Farm, mention the Wildina Show, or just say Wildina, and you'll get a $10 gift certificate, and you can use that gift certificate to spend it wherever it allows you to spend it. And if you'd like to be a guest on the Wildina Show, please give me a call at 702-242 2100 702-242-2100. Okay, and you can also email me at WildinaTVShow@AOL.com. That's WildinaTVShow@AOL.com. You can send me an email if you would like to be a guest on the show, or if you have questions and comments and all that kind of good stuff. And remember what I always tell you, be nice to me, because all I'm gonna do is delete if I don't like what you say. Okay, and then of course donations. Thank you so much to everyone who has made donations to the Wildina Show. Anyone who has made a donation to the show, I really do appreciate you. You are the bomb, and you are the ones that are helping keep this show going. And if you'd like to make a donation to the Wildina Show, just go right to WildinaTVShow.com and click that pay button right up there at the top of the screen, and there you can make a donation. $1 million. Well, anyway, however much you want to donate to the Wildina Show, I would love to receive it. Okay, and just in case if I didn't tell you who I am, you know who I am. I am Wildina, the Las Vegas Queen of Gospel, and I'm excited to be here. Well, guess what? I have some guests that I'm going to be introducing to you. I'm going to save my surprise guest for last. I'm welcoming back to my show Minister Muldrow, Minister David Muldrow from the Seventh-day Adventist Faith. And Minister David Muldrow, he just loves being on the Wildina Show. And so he just been kind of hanging out with me and answering a lot of questions. And he just allows me to just rake him over the coals. And I tell you, I just have a ball with him. Hello, David Muldrow. How are you doing today?
Good afternoon, Wildina. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Absolutely marvelous, and thank you for asking. And I'm so glad that you came back and joined me again today. And you're going to be with me today and next week, right?
God willing.
Okay, all right. And so would you like to say anything special? You got a shout out or anything you want to give?
You know what? There's someone who's a listener, and her name is Hazel Pruitt, and she may be listening right now. She's been in convalescence for the last several months, really dealing with some sickness. And if Sister Pruitt, if you're listening, hello.
Okay, all right. Well, it sounds like you're sending out a shout out to a very good friend, and that's wonderful of you to do that. Okay, so listen, I also have another guest now. Now, Minister Muldrow, I'm not reading your bio or anything like that for the simple reason you've been a guest on the Wildina Show several times, right? And so pretty much everybody knows who you are, right?
I guess.
Well, I tell you what, they're going to learn a lot about you. And so, but right now, everybody that's listening, he is that of the Seventh-day Adventist Faith, and he's been a guest on the show several times. And so we're just kind of bringing him back on the strength that he knows exactly what's going on here. But I also have another guest, and she is calling in long distance, and she's on the line waiting for us right now. And what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Dina Rae, and Dina Rae is a new author here to stay. Her 4 novels, Halo of the Damned, Halo of the Nephilim, and The Last Degree, and Bad Juju, weave research and suspense throughout the plots. Her short stories, Be Paranoid, Be Prepared, and Halo of the Madonna are prequels of sorts to her Halo series and The Last Degree. Dina has just completed her 5th book, Big Pharma, Big Agri, and Big Conspiracy. This is her first nonfiction book. It covers the connection between corporations and New World Order. Dina lives with her husband, 2 daughters, and 2 dogs outside of Dallas. She is a Christian and avid tennis player, movie buff, and self-proclaimed expert on several conspiracy theories. She has been interviewed numerous times in e-zines, websites, blogs, newspapers, and radio programs. When she is not writing, she is reading novels from her favorite authors, Dan Brown, Anne Rice, Stephen King, Brad Thor, George R.R. Martin, and Preston Childs. I'll tell you what, this Dina Rae, she is a reader and a writer. Hello, Dina, are you with us?
I'm here. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I am so excited that you joined in with us, Dina. And we're going to be talking to you about today, the New World Order. Is that correct?
I sure hope so.
Okay, Dina, are you going to, would you like to give a shout out to someone?
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to my husband, Mike. He's been my biggest cheerleader for everything I do in life. He's a wonderful man. And, of course, a shout out to Mr. Big Time, who lives in Las Vegas. I hope he's listening in.
Mr. Big Time.
Yes.
Okay, well, I hope Mr. Big Time is listening in, too. Okay, Dina, I'm looking forward to you spending the next 2, this show and again next week with us for part 2 on New World Order. So, Dina, you hang on for just a moment and we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Did you realize that right now, 1 of every 3 drivers of the road is cruising around in a state of skepticism? Why? Because they're full of questions about how much value their car insurance company is actually bringing to the party. And the way these drivers are getting answers is by shopping and comparing. If you're one of them, State Farm agent Mike Whitford in Las Vegas can help you get to a better state. That starts with getting to know you as a person, not just a policy number. Then Mike can help put together the coverage package that has you written all over it. Make sure you're comfortable with what that coverage will cost and with the level of service you'll get, not just for Mike Whitford, but from the 68,000 State Farm associates who support them 24/7, 365 days a year. If all of that is starting to make you feel a little less skeptical, now's the time to call State Farm agent Mike Whitford in Las Vegas at 702-463-2400. That's 702-463-2400 and get to a better state with State Farm.
Okay, we're back. And now the moment we have all been waiting for. I am going to introduce to you my surprise guest co-host today. And let me tell you just a little tad bit about my surprise guest co-host. Her name is Mrs. Samantha Vance. Samantha Vance has served as a consultant for nonprofit organizations focused on community development and public administration. She is currently the founder and executive director for Ladies Learning to Lead, a youth leadership organization for girls that prepares them for college, careers, and life. Samantha resides in Tallahassee, Florida. Woo! It's hot out there. With her husband, Jaworski, and children, Javen and Jackson. They enjoy fishing, events, and spending time with family. And I am welcoming to my show, Mrs. Samantha Vance. How you doing, Miss Samantha?
I am doing better than I deserve. How are you, Miss Walina?
Well, I'm doing absolutely marvelous, especially now that I have you as a guest co-host on my show. And everybody's saying, well, what's the big surprise? Okay, her name is Samantha Vance. But what's the big surprise? What's so special about Miss Samantha Vance? Well, I'm going to tell all of y'all what's so special about Miss Samantha Vance. She is my daughter. And I'll tell you what, I am just as happy as I can be. I'm happy as a bug in the rug. I have my daughter on the show with me today, and she is going to help make the rubber meet the road on this show today. So, Minister Mojo, you better strap up your boots. And Dina Rae, you better strap up your boots because I have my daughter here as backup today. How you doing, Miss Samantha Vance? Would you like to give a shout out to anyone out there in worldwide land?
I definitely would. I would like to give a shout out to my husband, Jaworski Vance, and our boys, Javen and Jackson, residing in Tallahassee, a few hours behind us.
All righty then. Well, I'll tell you what, I'd like to give a shout out to your husband too. Hey, Jaworski. And hey, Jackson and Javen. And hey, all the rest of the family and everybody else that's tuning in and watching. We probably got some more family members tuning in and watching too. And so hello to y'all. Hello, y'all. Well, guess what? The rubber's going to meet the road in this show today in regards to New World Order. And I want to start out. Are you guys ready for the rubber to meet the road? Miss Dina Rae and Minister Muldrow?
Absolutely. Bring it.
Well,
A very confident woman.
well, I guess she told me.
She's ready.
She said, bring it. Well, honey, I'm just going to do just exactly that. You didn't say nothing but a word to Miss Walina. Okay, listen, I want to start out with a little something that I found here. And I thought it would just kind of kick us off. It's just a little something that I found. And I wanted to make sure that we're keeping it under the perspective of religion. But there's a lot under this title of New World Order. So we're going to talk from the Seventh-day Adventist point of view and the non-denominational point of view. Okay, so I want to share this with you. The modern corporate controlled mass media is being used as a massive vehicle of social engineering to train, condition, and mold this current generation thinking into the New World Order. As the world becomes more and more unstable environmentally, economically, politically, and morally, each trial we go through is a test to prepare each soul for the final battle of the great day of God Almighty. And with that being said, do Miss Dina Rae, can you give me a little feedback on that statement that I just read? Do you agree with that, or you disagree? Or how do you feel about that?
I absolutely agree that our news is controlled by the powers that be. 100%. The Democrat news channels per se are lying to us, and the Republican news channels are lying to us. There's only a handful of people who own all of the news stations, all of the newspapers, all of the magazines in the world, Rupert Murdoch being one of them. So when you're in charge of all of the news, you can therefore narrate your own agenda, and you get automatic credibility, which is how things are now.
Okay. And Minister Muldrow, what would your feedback be on that? Thank you, Ms. Ray.
Well, I would definitely agree. I remember several years ago while I was watching the Phil Donahue show, and they had the big three on there, Tom Brokaw, Dan Rather, and Peter Jennings. And they were talking about how their news corporations were being bought out by big business. For example, NBC is owned by General Electric. ABC is owned by Disney. I'm not sure who owns CBS, but when you have big corporations who are in charge of the news, they were concerned that the news was going to have a slant toward big business and their interest. And we can definitely see as time has marched on, that was probably about 20 years ago. And we can see as time has gone on that is exactly what has taken place. So the news we watch is coming through the filter of big business and their special interest.
Okay. Well, you know what? I want to pass this on to I think I'm just going to kind of chill out a little bit today, since I got some young blood in here that can handle things for a sister. I think I'm going to kind of chill out a little bit, but I'm going to allow my co-host to kick in and ask a couple of questions, and then we're going to be taking a break in just a minute.
Certainly. So the first question, again, the topic is New World Order. So we want to take a look at what's all entailed in that. What is the definition of the Illuminati to you all? And does that even have any part of, does that play a part in the New World Order to you?
What do you want?
Miss Ray? Ladies first.
Well, the Illuminati is definitely a big part of New World Order conspiracy. They are related to other secret societies such as the Freemasons, Club of Rome, Bohemian Grove, Skull and Bones. They are the inner circle. They are the who's who. They are the puppeteer, or the ones controlling us, the puppets. They are a secret organization that was technically founded, I think, in 1787 by Adam Weishaupt, and they're very much like the Freemasons. They've got different degrees, and the higher you go, the more secretive things get, and the more you're not allowed to share information with other members.
Okay, Miss Dina Rae, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. Hold that thought.
Did you realize that right now, one of every three drivers of the road is cruising around in a state of skepticism? Why? Because they're full of questions about how much value their car insurance company is actually bringing to the party. And the way these drivers are getting answers is by shopping and comparing. If you're one of them, State Farm agent Mike Whitford in Las Vegas can help you get to a better state. That starts with getting to know you as a person, not just a policy number. Then Mike can help put together the coverage package that has you written all over it. Make sure you're comfortable with what that coverage will cost and with the level of service you'll get. Not just for Mike Whitford, but from the 68,000 State Farm associates who support them 24/7, 365 days a year. If all of that is starting to make you feel a little less skeptical, now's the time to call State Farm agent Mike Whitford in Las Vegas at 702-463-2400. That's 702-463-2400, and get to a better state with State Farm.
Okay, Miss Ray, go right ahead.
Well, you asked me about the Illuminati, and they're definitely a big part of this conspiracy theory. They are the ones that are promoting a one-world government, and you see it through all kinds of devices. They've got Bilderberg meetings, again, with the media, as you guys already mentioned. They've got, control of most of the media. They've got control of politics in just about every country. They are the ones running things. Now with healthcare, now with our food, they've got in Europe, they've got a food code that everyone has to abide to for a food called Codex Alimentarius. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We see rock stars now flashing Illuminati signs because they're in on it too. Because popular culture, has their ways with the younger generation, and they get them on board. The brainwashing, they get them on board, brainwashing them into this whole illusion that we're free, and it's just eventually one day they're going to make their move.
Okay.
That's very interesting. Thank you for that feedback. Minister Muldrow, what is your take on that?
Well, when it comes down to Illuminati, the name Illuminati means light, people of light, that light meaning knowledge. People who have come into additional knowledge, such as secret knowledge that's inaccessible to most people. I know when the founding fathers of this nation, I've never been to Washington, D.C., but from my understanding that when you go through the halls of Congress, when you go to the Supreme Court and different historical but governmental sites, that there are Masonic symbols all over, signs and writings. So the founding fathers of this nation were very much into Freemasonry, and that has had a dramatic effect on the overall view and shaping of government policy. So I'm not really deep into the study of this, but I do know that there are people who believe that there are a group of people behind the scenes who are shaping things toward their ends. And the name of the Illuminati is one of the names in which they take.
That's excellent. Thank you both for your feedback on that. So Ms. Dina mentioned that politics and secret societies play a part in the Illuminati, and Minister Muldrow, you mentioned that the government also plays a part in that. So when it comes to religion, politics, government, and secret societies, do they all fit into this new world order?
Well, taking the question first this time, you won't find the New World Order written in the Bible anywhere. As a matter of fact, if there's anything that's alluding to a New World Order, it's the fact that the state of things as we see it and as we live it here in this world right now was not God's original design. And that there's several promises that are found in Holy Scripture is that he will make a new heaven and a new earth where righteousness will dwell. So that will be his idea of a new world order. Now, the name or the term New World Order has several origins. I remember one time reading in the autobiography of Malcolm X and seeing that term, and then it made big news when the first George Bush took office, and during one of his addresses to the nation, he happened to use that term, and a lot of that piqued a lot of people. Got like, okay, what is he saying by that? And there are people who believe, that there's, as I said, a group of people who are trying to shape things to an end, and they're going to use religion. They're going to use different things in society to bring about that end.
And Dina?
Well, I respectfully disagree with the minister on just one small point. The Bible does mention a New World Order that many conspiracy theorists believe to be the Tower of Babel story. When they built the tower, and they were all working together, and they all were communicating together with the same language, and God didn't like that. And he dispersed them to the four corners of the earth. And right now we've got, do you guys ever go on Google Translator? You could type in any sentence, and then in any language, it'll say it right back to you in any language.
Yeah.
They've got that. They've got new things on the market that haven't been approved yet, but they have gloves that'll read you a book, and then it's just a matter of time before they'll translate that book into another language for you. So we've got this whole. We're slowly getting rid of the whole language barrier thing that has kept us apart, which is one of the key components of New World Order.
That's good. Minister Muldrow, any other comments on that?
Well, as I said, the state of things as we see it when sin entered the world, according to Genesis chapter 3, with the disobedience of the first parents, sin entered the world, and God's original design, his heart's desire for the world, was turned upside down. Now, this didn't catch our God off guard, because according to the scripture found in Revelation chapter 13, that Jesus is the lamb slain before the foundation of the world. So there was a remedy for sin before sin actually entered into the world. But I guess I was just talking about New World Order specifically. When you would turn around and say, I'm looking for that term, you wouldn't find that term written in scripture. But throughout the biblical canon, you see that there were times when people took upon themselves to try to shape the world, to shape the destiny of mankind according to their ends. So that's definitely, you will find that in scripture. You will find that historically as well. People such as Napoleon, Adolf Hitler, Charlemagne, we can go on and on. People who had an idea of not just attacking and shaping things locally, but they had a global view, a global vision of how they wanted to shape things. So that's always been the case, but time and time again, they've always been thwarted. It has never taken place.
Well, sorry.
Okay, my co-host is going to ask you another question. Hang on.
Well, okay, so we'll just move on, and if we have time, we'll come back to that, because I'd like to hear what Dina has to say in response. But in regards to just as a whole society, we're separated into the rich, the poor, the middle class. When it comes to those statuses of people, who do you all believe will be affected by this New World Order from your point of view? Dina?
Well, clearly, it's going to be another Hitler kind of thing, where if you are very strong, well, then now you're useful. You can be some kind of laborer. If you're very smart, you can be some kind of doctor. If you're, very creative, well, then you could be some kind of entertainer. Everybody else, if you're sick, if you're old, anything like that. In Hitler's case, if you're gay, if you're, just about a million things. If you get sick, you get too sick to work, you die. And that's the same premise that New World Order conspiracy theorists believe will happen once everything gets organized enough to to have a one world government.
And Minister Muldrow?
Well, as far as breaking down society into different classes, you can definitely see that the rich will not be as affected by certain things that are going on. As a matter of fact, a lot of the rich, those who are generational, have generational wealth, have been a part of some of these secret societies. And whenever we have different things that happen in the economy, and when the stock market really drops, the rich aren't as affected as the middle class and the poor. So it'll definitely be a time when the middle class and the poor will be seeking for, when there's a scarcity. You can already start to see that there's a scarcity of resources that are happening throughout the world. And when things get really, really tight, as a lot of people who aren't conspiracy theorists or who don't study things like Freemasonry or the Illuminati, but as you can see different things happening in the world, there are people who are predicting a worldwide economic collapse. And when that begins to happen, there's going to be the people who already have certain resources who are going to be able to basically navigate themselves through the world and through that time of crisis more easier than those of us who don't have those resources right now.
Mm-hmm. And Dina, any additional comments on that?
Yes, I agree with the minister in theory, but I think a few years back, rich people in Greece, if we all recall, had their money taken away from the banks that they put it in. So that's not a for sure thing. Just because you have money, well, the way we invest money now doesn't mean that we have it. We don't have it in our hand. We have it in our 401k. We have it in our house that might be worthless the next day. We have it in stocks that are manipulated through false statements. What we deem as wealth isn't tangible anymore. We're not on the gold standard anymore. We can't touch what we think that we have. So rich people who are not in with the in crowd can just as easily be wiped out as someone who never had anything at all. And again, it's this handful of people that are running things that can make that happen. So, like a lot of people now, gold went up so much in value because there's so many people that do not trust the government. They do not trust the banks. They just do not trust. And a lot of people are buying gold right now because gold has always had value in any kind of economy. So that's all I wanted to add.
Wow, this is very interesting, and I really hope the listeners are enjoying all of this knowledge and expertise that you all are sharing with us today.
Rubber meet the road information.
The rubber is meeting the road, definitely. And I hope they are listening and enjoying it, because I certainly am. On to another question. We were just talking about society, rich, poor, middle class. We didn't talk about religion. Where does religion play a part in the New World Order, in the sense of, if you're a Christian, should you be interested in conspiracy theories, or is that a no-no? Minister Muldrow?
Well, I definitely believe in that the Bible does talk about in the last days, such as the chapter found in the book of Revelation, chapter 13. The Bible warns us of a power that will come on the scene, and the way the Bible describes it as a beast coming out of the earth, and will cause all those small and great, rich and poor, to worship the first beast that had received a deadly wound by a sword and yet lived. The Bible talks about that. The Bible talks about it will it talks about the mark of the beast, for example, and it talks about that if you do not receive the mark of the beast, whether in your forehead or in your hand, you will not be able to buy or sell. And I know in the description of Sister Dina, she said in her bio that she was a movie buff. And if anyone is familiar with the movie called Enemy of the State that was done by Will Smith several years ago, which was a dramatic portrayal, but it showed where the government basically declared Will Smith's character to be an enemy of the state. He was in a sense a terrorist, and they began to shut him down. His credit cards, his debit card, he did not have access to anything, and his face was thrown on the TV as someone you need to be careful on and be on the watch for. It would be very easy right now, especially since everything is computerized, to be able to shut everything down. And that will be a time that will be very frightening for a lot of us. And that will be, for those of us who are Christian and have learned to trust in God to provide for us and take care of us, we will have to totally and completely rely upon him, because the natural means of getting by will not be available to us.
Minister Muldrow, can you tell us just a little bit more about this beast you're talking about? You saying a beast is going to rise up from where? What? How is that? What do you mean by that?
A beast rising up out of the earth. Well, Revelation chapter 17 talks about a woman sitting upon a scarlet covered beast. And when it says that beast came up out of the water, and then when it says about the water, it sat upon waters, and it described that the waters represented peoples, multitudes, basically a populated society. Then it talked about a beast rising up out of the earth. So if you say, okay, if a beast rose up out of a populated society, then a beast rising up out of the earth would be a government, because beast in the book of Revelation represented governments and kingdoms.
Okay.
That you would have a beast rising up out of the earth that came from a part of the world that was not as populated. And we as Seventh-day Adventists have taught and believe that represented the United States in Bible prophecy. That when the people of Europe fled religious persecution, they got on board ships and they set sail for what was called the New World. And that New World was here in the United States, this part of where there was just the Aboriginal people, the American Indians were here, but there was no single government, that central government that everyone related to. So we as Seventh-day Adventists have believed and taught that the United States will one day be a worldwide power that will cause people to worship the first beast. And we have always believed and taught that the first beast represented the Church of Rome, or the papacy.
Wow, that is very informative. Thank you for sharing that and giving some insight on what Seventh-day Adventists believe. Dina, what is your take on the question? If you need me to, I can repeat it.
Well, I agree with everything Minister Muldrow said, and I also agree that Enemy of the State is one of the best movies ever made. It was, what is that? It's got to be a good 10 years old, and that movie in itself is quite the prophecy. What I see right now is I see in this country Christianity rights are just chipped away on a daily basis. Right now, what's dictating the news is this whole gay wedding cake thing, and
Yes.
I don't really, that to me, I don't really care either way about a baker baking a cake for whatever. That really has no impact in my life. I just watched a short video on YouTube that a friend sent, and if a baker doesn't want to bake somebody a cake based on their religion, well, so be it. Well, funny how they just showed this one reporter just went into Muslim bakeries in Dearborn, Michigan, and Muslims will hang somebody in the Middle East if they're gay. Of course, we don't hear that on the news. And they requested gay wedding cakes made for them. And of course, every single bakery said, no, get out of here. We don't hear that on the news. Why is that? Why is it always the Christians are the ones who are being unreasonable? And that's just here in the States. We've got the Catholic Pope, who is kind of the figurehead of the entire realm of Christianity. And I don't think that's fair, because there's obviously so many different kinds of denominations, but he wears the hat, so to speak. And he's getting softer and softer and more inclusive and more wishy-washy about what's written in the Bible. And I'm sure Minister Muldrow would know more specifics on that than me. But it's getting to be, and if you believe in New World Order, religion has got to go, unless it's a one-world religion. That's the only way religion's ever going to work. I think I answered the question correctly.
Listen, if we have any callers out there that'd like to get in on this conversation, you can call in at 702-650-5588. That's 702-650-5588 for local callers. And anyone calling long distance from anywhere else in the world, 1-800-366-8883. That's 1-800-366-8883. You can call in and get in on this conversation if you like. Minister Muldrow?
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to add something. If you're confused about, or if you became offended or confused about something that I said, I would like for the listeners, the viewers, to go onto the internet and type in the name Time Magazine Holy Alliance. And that's a whole magazine, well, basically a large majority of it, where it shows that Ronald Reagan at the time conspired with Pope John Paul to bring down communism in Europe. We learned recently, as a matter of fact, just before the close of last year, you found out that Barack Obama, in league with the Canadian government and the papacy, Pope Francis, after over 50 years of what's been a bad relationship with Cuba, all of a sudden, that it was brought, a reconciliation was brought about by the United States working with the Vatican to bring about better relations with the Cuban government. So you can definitely see how, where most people would think that, okay, well, Catholicism, that's just another, wing of Christianity, but they are very influential behind the scenes, shaping government policy, shaping things to what will be one day, we believe, a dire end.
Listen, I just want to jump in here real quick. You touched on Minister Muldrow. You grabbed something here that I had in my hand, and I did have a question here that I was going to ask to both of you, which was, some say that President Obama will initiate the New World Order, and I was going to ask, what is your response to that?
Well, when Dina, and I just listening to her, I really admire her breadth of knowledge and the fact that she shows herself to be a woman of study. You can definitely see how President Obama, and she brought up about the gay wedding cake. This man has done more for the LGBT, that's the LGBT community, more than any other person in history. And in a short period of time, he has totally, by him embracing, I think it was about maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when he determined that, hey, I see marriage between gays, homosexuals as okay. He said his opinion of traditional marriage had evolved, and that there's nothing wrong with shared love between two men or two women. And you can see how right after he made that statement, the NAACP changed their view and policy on it. And you can just see how quickly the here in the United States, state after state has passed gay marriage laws. So you can see how just that stance alone. Now, do I know if he's going to institute it or not? That's not specifically what I believe, but you can definitely see that him being such a charismatic figure brought about rapid change by his opinion.
And Dina?
Wow, that was very interesting, Minister. I don't know what to think of Barack Obama because Bush with the whole Iraq war thing was so fishy to me. It just seemed like another New World Order stunt, a way to get his buddies Halliburton rich. And then here we got Obama, who's supposedly the polar opposite of, the Republican Party, the old, rich white guy stereotype. And Obama, and I'm from Chicago, by the way. So when Obama was running for senator, the way that he won the Senate seat was, it's supernatural event, if you know what I mean. If you would have saw who he was running against, he was a complete nobody, community organizer from Chicago. Nobody knew who the heck he was. He beat out two veteran, well-connected political figures who just happened to have these bizarre scandals happen days, weeks, maybe months before the election. I mean, it was almost like supernatural powers intervened to get him to that Senate seat, which of course paved the way for his presidency. One guy he beat out, all of a sudden there was a scandal that he and his wife, who's actually an actress in Hollywood, they got divorced, and the wife was saying out of the blue that she divorced her husband because he was a swinger and this and that. Then the other guy he beat out later on in the election process, again, divorced, supposedly beat his wife up. So 2 for 2, his opponents who had 20, 30-year careers in a political machine as tightly spun as Chicago were beaten out like a nobody, like that, like nothing. It's and then, of course, we've got the presidential election. How do you beat Hillary Clinton? It was very weird. And many people say that George Soros was helping him out behind the scenes. I don't know. I have no idea. But it just seems like whoever gets elected isn't really they're not doing things that they campaigned about. They're doing things that the powers that be tell them to because they've made so many deals with the devil to get to where they are. That's just how I see it.
Yes.
I would like to add something on that what Dina just said. I'm somebody who follows politics, and when I heard about a political organizer who became state senator, who threw his hat into the United States Senate, had been a sitting U.S. senator for like 18 months, and next you know, he said he was going to run for the presidency of the United States. I said, that's crazy. He doesn't have the background. He doesn't have the experience. And look at what took place. And you've never seen anything like that. So I definitely believe that this brother was selected before he was elected.
Okay, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
Did you realize that right now, 1 of every 3 drivers of the road is cruising around in a state of skepticism? Why? Because they're full of questions about how much value their car insurance company is actually bringing to the party. And the way these drivers are getting answers is by shopping and comparing. If you're one of them, State Farm agent Mike Whitford in Las Vegas can help you get to a better state. That starts with getting to know you as a person, not just a policy number. Then Mike can help put together the coverage package that has you written all over it. Make sure you're comfortable with what that coverage will cost and with the level of service you'll get, not just for Mike Whitford, but from the 68,000 State Farm associates who support them 24/7, 365 days a year. If all of that is starting to make you feel a little less skeptical, now's the time to call State Farm agent Mike Woodford in Las Vegas at 702-463-2400. That's 702-463-2400 and get to a better state with State Farm.
All right, and we're back. Now, on to another question. We have seen, some of us have seen the video or heard the audio of the song that Jay-Z has that's played backwards, and it comes off as 666 Murder Jesus. We've also heard of other things, some of us have heard of other things where celebrities are subtly worshiping Satan in their music, and during concerts, certain signs and symbols that exemplify them worshiping Satan, if you will. So what is your take on that in regards to the New World Order? Do you believe that this potential celebrity Satan worship has anything to do with the New World Order? Dina?
Oh, absolutely. 100%, absolutely. They're all part of it. They're all trying to make Satan cool again. I not to get too off the subject, but it's not just the music industry. It's also the movie industry. If you've seen the movie Noah and then recently Moses, as a Christian, I was offended by both of them, especially Moses. And it's not enough to make millions, if not billions of dollars off of stories from the Bible. They now have to completely rewrite the story. And the arrogance of the music world, the movie world, all of these people, who are they to rewrite the Bible? That makes me sick to my stomach. But yeah, Beyonce with that Sasha Fierce business, and I don't know. I blogged a couple months ago on this one old movie. There was a weird dance that it was a New World Order movie. I can't think of the name right now, but there was this weird scene in the movie where this woman did this strange, seductive dance that hypnotized everybody. Well, if you study music videos, everybody who's anybody has at one point done this exact same dance in their videos. Beyonce, Madonna, Katy Perry, all of them. And it's almost like they're tipping their hat to this director of this old 1940s movie, and the dance is supposed to be a dance for Satan.
Wow, that's deep.
Very deep. Minister Muldrow?
Well, just briefly, I know if anyone's familiar with the stories that are found in the Gospels, and especially when you read Matthew and Luke, Matthew chapter 3, the temptation that Jesus faced in the wilderness, that he was shown all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time, and Satan proposed to him that he would give him all of these things if he would bow down and worship him. All would belong to him. So there are many people in the music industry, many people in the let's just say the entertainment industry, because Dina is correct. The entertainment industry, by and large, have sold their souls to become rich and famous, and they have bowed the knee to Satan.
Okay, listen, we have a caller on the line. Let's see what the caller has to say. Hello, caller, how are you? State your name and where you're calling from, and we only got about 2 minutes left on the show, so state your name and where you're calling from.
Okay, this is Crazy Rhonda Bellamy, and I'm here in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hey, Rhonda, how you doing? Make it quick.
Okay, I just want your daughter to talk about, or study something about the New World Order is going to be China. China is going to be the New World Order. And then also, too, what I wanted to shout out about was, I didn't get to hear the show because for some reason or another, they made your show very staticky today, and I'm sure it's because of the topic.
Rhonda, you're good. You are good. You know we gotta wrap it up though. We got like 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna let my daughter elaborate on what you just said. Go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you for that question. Any more comments from our guests here today, Minister Mojo or Dina, as we close out?
No, it was a blast being here, and God willing, I look forward to next week.
All right. So good to meet you, daughter.
Rhonda, you got to call in earlier. Next week, call in next week, okay?
I promise do it again because there's more.
Okay. And this is one of your hot topics anyway, New World Order stuff. You like this catchy stuff. Okay. All right.
Thanks for joining us, Rhonda.
All right. Thanks, Rhonda.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. Listen, everybody, we got to wrap it up. We got to get up out of here. And it's been a pleasure. Oh, I'm so excited that I have my daughter with me today. And I'm excited that I had you too, Minister Mojo, but I'm not as excited as I have with my daughter. You know that. And Dina, thank you so much, Dina, for calling in. And we're going to see you next week. We'll see both of you next week. Okay. And my daughter might just join us from Tallahassee, Florida. You never know. All right. So listen, everybody, y'all know who I am. I'm Wiley, the Love Vegas Queen of Gospel. And you know what show this is? This is the Walina Show, and this is where the rubber meets the road. We'll see you next week.